Well, hello, base. Welcome to another review as read. Today we talk about Kingdom Come, story by Mark Waid and art by Alex Ross from DC Comics. So we'll go through the same process. We'll talk about what the book's about, the cons, the pros, and a conclusion. So let's get into it now. This is basically a compilation novel from DC Comics on the out-of-canon story of Superman, who, no spoilers, leaving the world to itself for many years, and basically how the world lives without the Superman and all the heroes around it living without his leadership. And so the issue of all the superhumans and the children of superhumans in a world that has lived with superhumans, that population of metahumans basically getting out of control, and the conflict against the normal humans coming to a head, and a coming Armageddon, a situation which only Superman can bring to either a head to a destruction or to salvation. So that's what the story is about. So let's first get into the cons. So let's go into the cons of the book. Now, I'll put it out there, this is my favorite book of all time, so I literally am nitpicking when I choose these cons of the book, but I feel that it's the right thing to do because there's no such thing as a perfect book. So the first thing I would say is there are a lot of characters. Give you a note on how many characters there are in the book, and just look at this. This is the amount of characters you have. These are all children of superhumans, new superhumans, and Silver Age. I mean, this book is a huge homage to Silver Age characters, with such as Captain Comet and all. Alright, so it's a con because, like, again, this is same thing with any criticism of Justice League comics, is that when something bad does happen to a background character, you don't really feel it. That is an issue, I guess, but like I say, that's easily counteracted by Mark Waid's storytelling, which keeps the focus on the right people. Unlike some Justice League comics, which they try to spread themselves so thin that in the end you don't even really get involved with the main characters, such as Superman. The next thing that's a con is, this is not so much for me, but the background connotations that is used to introduce the coming conflict of the metahumans and the humans is from a priest who uses the words or revelation from the Bible. Again, religious connotations and all can make people uncomfortable. Truth be told, it's just a background thing that's to introduce a story. It doesn't really focus on the religious aspect of it. It's just, like I say, it's a storytelling effect. So just so that you put it out there. So that's the cons, which are all totally minor. So let's go into the long pros of the book. Now, the pros of the book, first thing is obvious, the art. Now, the art of the book is quite amazing. As you can see, this art reminds me of Frank Frazetta's art, but in a much more realistic fashion. If you don't know who Frank Frazetta is, he's the guy who drew the most famous Conan art, basically, that all Conan art is based on, even from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. I'll put a link below to my review on his Death Dealer comics, which his artwork actually inspired into a comic. Alright, now with Frank Frazetta's art, basically you have a very realistic kind of art, but it's a very stylized, kind of movie poster-like kind of situation. With Alex Ross's art, is very realistic in a real fashion, meaning it does look like real people. As like you can see, I've been turning the pages and you can see. Alright, the easiest one to point out is you look at Wonder Woman. Alright, she still looks really good, but she looks like a real person. I'll be honest with you that the Wonder Woman comics and all that, sometimes you look at it, it can't possibly be real. You know, it's just a fantasized piece of art. When you look at Alex Ross's art, there's a reason why his art is in, you know, all the homages of the evolution of Superman or Batman in the DC Comics YouTube channels. It's because his art is that definitive of a real person, and it's so different from all the other out there in comics. Basically, there have been people who try to do the same thing, but basically I don't feel anyone has come close to Alex Ross's art. The other thing is the story. Now, this is by far none the best Superman story out there. The death of Superman is always going to be close and dear to my heart. Alright, but Kingdom Come is the best Superman story out there. Alright, it brings about what Superman is all about. or his morality, his flaw of his character, the pros of his character, and it really makes you feel the immense burden this one person has who never asked to be put in the position he is in. Alright, and the morality of the story. To give you an idea, the main focus of it is basically, again with no spoilers, it teaches you the simple lesson that you shouldn't run away from your problems, that you have to deal with it. You know, Superman basically had to leave due to circumstances, but in the end, you know, his leaving led to a situation whereby it led to all the issues because he wasn't around. So basically, by just leaving, or rather in some ways running away from your problems rather than trying to solve it, it caused more problems, you know. And then after that, it's about how you solve the problem. Yeah, can you stick to your morality and solve the problem at the same time? You know, I mean, in a perfect world, it is, but as Superman finds out later and later on in the story, it gets harder and harder and harder to solve the problem as he wants it, because naturally not everybody is cooperating, and he has to make certain hard decisions in the end, which turn out for the better or the worse. It's all about choices. Another thing about the story, as you can see actually from the art, is Superman and Wonder Woman and Green Lantern and everybody basically has aged. Is one reason why this book is so well regarded, because it took the story of these superheroes one place which DC Comics would never dare take it in canon, which is to age their characters. Alright, what will happen 10 years down the road with a human such as Batman or something like that? Now, of course, yes, people have aged their characters such as Batman and everything, but as you can see in canon comics, alright, Batman is always going to be there, always still going to be fit and fighting and all, you know. But as you can see in this book, all of them have literally aged. Green Lantern, he has white hair, he's old. Batman is literally held up by an exoskeleton in the book. Alright, as you can see. That really makes the story interesting, because literally they're older and they're wiser and maybe not wiser. So you get to see a part of these characters which, let's be honest, in most part you're probably never going to see in the canon stories. The other big thing about this book is it takes a lot of stuff that the fans have always wanted and brings it to a very realistic and really satisfying showdown. Such as, here's the thing, you got Superman, who's basically, alright, the world's greatest hero, and then you got Shazam, who is the world's greatest mortal. Now, Superman can be hurt by magic, and so literally these two characters, if there was any one person in canon that can beat down Superman on a level, it would probably be Shazam. And you know, it's always like, oh, what if Superman and Shazam really went at it? You know, this is one book that literally tells that story. You know, this fight, I mean, my brother loved favorite character is Shazam, mine is Superman, and this story really, when you see the fight between Superman and Shazam in this story, alright, it was satisfying, because many times you see there's this compilation novel, graphic novel about, you know, with Lobo versus Wolverine and Superman versus the Hulk and all. Alright, and many times those stories are just, that comic was totally unreadable because no one wins, basically. Even if someone wins, it's arbitrary. This fight between Superman and Shazam is absolutely wonderful. It comes to a great climax. It feels realistic. It does not feel like a cop-out, which many of these you know, fantasy fights come to in comics. Alright, so Mark Waid he understands what we wanted and he brings it to a satisfying conclusion. And the last thing great about this book is the Easter eggs that you get. Alright, there's a lot of little things that is a homage to the comics of basically from the Silver Age onwards. You know, when you read them, alright, such as when they go to Planet Hollywood kind of cafe or restaurant, you know, and you can see a lot of little things in the background, such as the 1950s Superman black and white TV show, you know, suits and all that, you know, and all these old example with this Shazam cup you know, the picture of these old Shazam characters and everything. So there's a lot of Easter eggs in here, which I'm not going to give away. I'll let you enjoy that by yourself. But if you actually do take time to look at the art, which you will because it's fantastic art, there's a lot of stuff you can pick out. Alright, which just makes you smile if you know the characters. Or in conclusion, this is an absolute must read. It is undeniable that this is the best Superman story. I mean, I have read quite a bit of Superman stories, and I can't say I read them all, but this one totally is number one. It's way above the rest. It tells the story of morality, and the best thing is that when it tells its morality, it produces both sides, and it allows you to choose whether you think one side is correct or not. The story does move on, but at the end of the day, it doesn't definitely tell you this is right, this is wrong. You know, it's up to you, and just like Superman, you have to make that choice for yourself. So a must read. Thank you very much. Till next word.